Hello, I'm Rita McGrath, professor at Columbia Business School here in New York City, as we like to say, at the very center of business. And as many of you know, I've been doing a lot of thinking about the future of business education. And right now, there's an awful lot of buzz around MOOCs, those massively open online courses everybody thinks are going to take over the world. I don't happen to believe that. But what I'm doing today is really fun, because what I'm doing is I'm actually visiting the future of where I think business education might be going. And that's using digital technologies and some of the new ways of appealing to people to create really engaging content, but content that can scale. Content that can be customized, content that can be adapted to the needs of individual learners. And I think that's a really exciting prospect. It also expands the range of what I can do as a faculty member. So let's assume I wanted to illustrate two concepts from my recent book, The End of Competitive Advantage. And what I do in that book is I talk a lot about how our traditional views of strategy treat companies kind of like a castle, because what we want to do is build a sustainable competitive advantage. So you build your castle and you put a moat around it and you try to defend it to the death. And it's very much about defending the status quo. Well, you know what? In more and more parts of our economy, that world goes away. And instead what we have is what I call waves of competitive advantage, which are advantages that you move through as they develop. You've got a whole pipeline of advantages, each of which has a specific life cycle stage. So you've got the innovation process. How are you going to find those insights that drive the new way of thinking? Then you've got a process of ramping those up. How do you get them to scale so that you can actually take advantage of them? Then you've got your exploitation phase, which is lovely, but you've also got to be hyper aware that things may be changing. The advantage may be eroding. And if it does, you need to have a disengagement process that pulls resources out of that old advantage and reinvests in something that's new. So, what does that give us? It gives us the chance to connect with our learners in really different, visually interesting and very engaging ways, in ways that they can manage their own learning, in ways that we can get those messages out in a far more flexible and engaging way. So I'm actually very excited to be exploring what some of these new technologies can bring to bear in our virtual classrooms.